Welcome to the ADHDoer story, where we speak with successful people who have ADHD so that you can learn more about their stories, their successes, and how they got to where they are. Today we have Bethan Kershaw from Geordie Shore speaking to us about her ADHD and how it has affected her in her personal life, her working life, and how she found out that she might have ADHD from her followers. Hi Bethan, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
All right, thanks for being here. So, just in case anyone doesn't know like who you are or what you do, could you tell us a bit about yourself?
So my name's Bethan Kershaw, and basically I am an influencer. So I've got a TikTok account and an Instagram account, and I've done a couple of appearances like on TV, Geordie Shore, Celebs Go Dating and stuff like that.
It's really cool. So what are your main platforms?
So my main platforms are my Instagram account and my TikTok account, and it's the same username. So it's Bethan_Kershaw.
Great. So we know where to find you.
Yeah.
So how did you get into influencing?
So I've always obviously had like an Instagram account and things like that, and I've always like posted my life, but probably more so when I done TV. I feel like once I'd done TV, then I really threw myself into the influencer kind of world. Yes, I've done it for about 5 years now, maybe 6.
Quite a long time. Do you enjoy doing it?
I do, yeah, I do. It's actually the only job that I've had for this long of a time, because if I look at all my other jobs, like in the period of time that I've stayed in a job, it would only be a couple of years max. And then I get really like kind of burnt out, overloaded, wouldn't really want to do that job. I wouldn't have that passion for it anymore. But this is the job that's I've actually been really consistent, like for the first time in my life.
That's really good. So what do you think has made you last longer in it?
I think probably the creative side of it, like having the ability to be very creative and kind of change everything that's changing with me. Do you know what I mean? Whereas obviously I feel like sometimes I can get a bit stagnant in jobs. Like if they're the same job and doing the same task, I feel like I need a little bit of chaos, do you know, to kind of keep us
Uh-huh.
right.
Yeah, I totally get that. What did you do before?
So I've had loads of jobs. I've done beauty therapy, so like the massages, nails, facials, things like that. I was a dancer at one point, and I'd done bar work, so like worked in like clubs and cocktail bars, doing like all the cocktails and stuff, which was fun. It was eventful, but I think you just kind of get over the late nights.
Yeah, it is quite chaotic as well though, so I can see maybe why that was enjoyable apart from being super tired.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And then obviously I've done TV as well, which was the same thing. It was the late nights, the long days, and obviously like with ADHD, like you need a lot of sleep, otherwise you just, you know, don't have a good time.
Yeah, so that was Geordie Shore, wasn't it? And how long did you do that for?
I haven't really got a very good like I don't really understand like the concept of like time and like so I don't really know, but I think it was about 2 or 3 years. But don't quote us, I can't remember.
That's okay. So you said the ADHD has affected like how much sleep you need. Did it
Yeah.
affect anything else in particular?
To be honest, it's affected like so much of my life. Like I think I only started to really notice that there was something. I felt like there was kind of something, I wouldn't say not right, but like I knew that I was different. I knew that like something was going on. And I think it's because um kind of the way I would seek dopamine, the way that I would like kind of eat. I had like eaten, like I was binging a lot of food sometimes, and also like just like relationships and things like that. It was I'm quite confrontational, but like I feel like it's because I've got like a strong sense of self to kind of like know what I want and what I don't like and this and I'm very direct. Like not all, I feel like sometimes people struggle to be direct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I feel like honestly, I think it's like affected quite a lot of the areas of my life. And I think now that I've kind of got older, because I only actually realized that I had ADHD, like, well, I've been thinking about it for the past couple of years. Like, I knew something was going on. And also, a lot of my followers would actually mention it. So it was a lot of my followers that had said, have you been tested for ADHD? And then when I started to look into it, I was like, oh, is that me? But I only really kind of seen the, like the side effects, if you will, when I started to get a bit older. Well, I didn't notice it when I was younger, but I always knew that I felt different. I wasn't able to kind of complete things the way that other people were. I'd struggle when it came to like focusing my attention on things that I wasn't really interested in. Like I could not, it was just not going in. genuinely was not coming.
Is that just stuff that you weren't interested in? Like you couldn't pay attention?
Yeah, it was most things that I just wasn't interested in. So like if there was like, especially in school, like if it was like lessons and things that I wasn't interested in, maths, English, can't even remember. I don't even think I can remember like one lesson.
You know, I'm the same. And people are like, oh, you've been to university. I'm like, it doesn't even matter because I have no idea what I learned.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, a lot of people I think that I've spoken to, they haven't realized they have ADHD, including myself, until like a year or two ago when it started
Mhm.
to be more widely spoken about, especially in women, because it shows up differently. The symptoms and the issues that we face are different to
Yeah.
males. And
Yeah.
it's more like introverted version, the inattentive version. So it's harder to find because other people can't see it. And
Yeah.
if it's
Because
not
it's all in your
bothering anyone
mind.
else, yeah. So you're just
Mm.
like away with the fairies and like la 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 la, overthink, make up daydreams,
Mm.
and it's not bothering anyone else. So they're like,
Yeah.
she's just like
It's
daydreaming.
not like yeah, because it's not as like disruptive. I suppose it would depend on what kind of ADHD that you have, because I know there's three different sections of like, so there's inattentive, overactive, and I'm not too sure exactly what the definitions are, but like I know that there's different types of ADHD. I've got a combination ADHD, so I've got both overactive and inattentive behaviors. But yeah, like you say, like I think in men it's not as sorry, in women it's not as like visible, because it's all just kind of, it's all, you're just doing it inside of your own mind, and you're not really understanding, because nobody explains that that's not, that that's ADHD. You would never know.
Yeah, and what you said as well about getting worse when you're getting older. I had the same thing. Like I was always such a high functioning anxious person and
Mm-hmm.
I had such strong people pleasing tendencies that
Mm-hmm.
everything would get done no matter if I left it till the very very last minute, and I'd never let anyone down. And so again, because it wasn't affecting other people and I was just constantly on it on it on it, I was getting
Mm-hmm.
burnt out, but nobody
Mm-hmm.
was like having negative side effects from it. But then as
Yeah.
I got older and I stopped masking so much and I stopped people pleasing so much and I sorted out a lot of my anxiety, everything just
Mhm.
kind of started to get a bit harder. So it's almost like
Yeah.
the anxiety kept everything in check. And then when I
Yeah.
started to heal that, it was like everything else is now a problem.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because then it's almost like you become difficult, because I'm currently experiencing like, it's kind of like a burnout at the moment. And it's really hard to kind of like navigate, because I've always been a high functioning performer as well. Like I've always like done what I've needed to do, and I've always got it done. And it might have been a bit late, or, I might need to tweak this, that, and the other, but it would be done regardless. Whereas now I feel like I've lost a lot of opportunities. I've lost a lot of things because of me mental health and me mental well-being. But at the same time, it's like you need to honor and listen to what's going on inside of your own mind, and you need to do that. Otherwise, you're just going to stay in a cycle of burnout, and you're never going to really get out of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. What do you think is the key thing that is disturbing your opportunities and not allowing you to like what's blocking you basically?
It really depends, because I think like it's very up and down with my ADHD. So like some periods in the month, actually really high functioning performer, I can get everything done. I feel amazing. Life is worth living. It's literally great. And then the week before my period, it is the complete opposite. Like I literally have got like the worst mental health. I feel so down. I'm very irritable. And I know that like that kind of comes when you're due on anyways, but like to the extremes. And I do feel like because of that period, like them 2 weeks, like the week leading up to the period and then the period, like that's 2 weeks out of the month where I don't feel myself and I don't feel good, and I can't show up the way that I would in the beginning 2 weeks of the month. And I just feel like that's kind of let us down a bit, because also what happens is I get into my own head about, oh my God, is this me? Is this my character now? Is this who I am? Like, I'm just not able to do certain things. And then it has like a knock-on effect, like a negative like talk, and a negative self-belief effect, because I'm feeling like I'm not able to do what I used to be able to do 3 years ago, like before the symptoms got really bad.
It's good that you are aware of it though, and that you're
Hmm.
aware that it's very linked to your hormones. Do you track your monthly cycles?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so at least you can predict, like, I'm going to have a good week this week, a bad week this
Yeah,
week. So do you
yeah.
like plan your work around that a little bit?
Try and plan my work around it, but again, I've got very kind of, so it's a very all or nothing mentality sometimes. So sometimes I'll like really be able to stay on top of it, and then sometimes I'll forget that that's even a thing, and I'll not even remember that I was even tracking. And then like it's really one of these things where like if it's not something I can say every day, I genuinely forget that it even exists.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
sometimes I can get into a bit of a state in my mind where like I really have this like negative inner self-talk, and I'm just like, this is terrible, like I'm not able to get out of this. And then I'll come off and I'll get out of it. I'm like, oh, it's fine, life's worth living again. Like it's like a roller coaster of emotions every month.
I totally understand you though, because I get the same thing. Like the week before, I have this existential crisis.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
month, I'm like, I hate this so much.
Yeah. Yeah, literally, and you do forget that that is like, you do forget that that's also a side effect, because I know that a lot of women who have ADHD end up as having PMDD as well,
Hmm.
and things like endometriosis and stuff can be really high in women with ADHD. So it's just it's trials and tribulations over here, like all the time,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it
But
is.
you know, it's there's so many good things about ADHD though. Like I feel like it helps us think outside of the box. Like I feel like the creativity that comes with ADHD and being able to hyperfixate on things that I'm interested in, like tenfold. Like there's so many good things about ADHD, but I just feel like the way that kind of society's set up, it's not set up for people with a brain like us.
Absolutely. I think you've probably found the right niche for yourself to be able to play to your strengths. And a
Yeah.
lot of people with ADHD are now starting to do that. But it is hard, as you say, like the creative subjects are not pushed, and there's no funding in creative subjects in the UK. Like it's being
Mm-mm.
withdrawn a lot to make way for the academic subjects. And it just doesn't suit every type of brain to be that way.
Mm.
And if you want to go into a career that is creative, it's a lot more difficult to get into it and become successful with it. And so people, again, they're steered away from it. Like, oh no, don't be an actor, get a proper job.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you actually threw yourself into it, you might be able to play to your strengths.
Yeah.
So how was it for you in school?
I'll be totally honest with you, in school, I just feel like I wasn't present in my lessons at all. I think for school, it was more of a social thing for me. I was like socializing with my friends. I never recognized it as something that was going to shape the rest of my life. Like it was really important and I had to listen, I had to learn. But I couldn't listen. I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in these subjects. It didn't stimulate us enough. What stimulated us was the socializing aspect of being in school.
Yeah, I think that's the same for a lot of people with ADHD, and that's why they get told off, they're disruptive, they talk too much. But I mean, you need to cater to every type of learning style. And if
Yeah.
they weren't doing that, it's too boring. It's too boring to hold
Yeah.
your attention.
Yeah.
So conversation is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my grades were so, I mean, my grades were like, they weren't very good at all, but but I believe that like, as long as you know yourself, like you will be successful, because you don't have to have the perfect grades. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, and you can still be really talented and use that to your advantage, and you can still be very successful, even if you're not academically smart.
And you're a testament to that because you're very successful and you've done things that suit you and suit your brain and suit your personality. And
Hmm.
like you just said, you weren't that interested in school. So I think if people are taught to embrace their strengths at an earlier age, they'll be
Hmm.
able to go down the right path that's going to be more successful for them. Because if you
Yeah.
tried to get into science or maths, you'd have been so bored out of your mind.
I mean, don't get us wrong. I love things like, so at the minute, I'm really interested in kind of like psychology and neuroscience and stuff like that. So I think the science was probably quite fun. But again, it's like the maths, the English, the history, the RE, like them kind of subjects I wasn't interested in. But the baking, so the cooking, and like what was that other one again? Like graphic design, all of those kind of things I was really interested in. Art, I got the highest grade I got was art, and it was an A. Got an A in art, but the rest of my subjects is E's, F's, and it's funny that nobody picked that up. Nobody picked up that she might have ADHD, because no. because there's not enough information out there to understand it. But it's good that social media is about now and people can get a bit more information through social media. And I just feel like it's been a blessing really, because if I hadn't had social media, I could have went my whole life not knowing that I had ADHD, and I could have just struggled all my life.
Yeah, you could. But instead, you were almost peer reviewed by your followers.
I know, yeah, literally. My followers are like, yeah, you definitely stink of ADHD.
Did you know that you might be neurodivergent?
I was like, you know what, fair enough. But I think like I'm really glad though, because I think for me personally that I have a lot of very, very supportive like people who follow us, and they're always kind of like messaging us, and they're giving us like a lot of like information and stuff like that, which I just love. I just feel like I'm so grateful for the community that I've got. Like I couldn't be more grateful for them. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that's helped a lot in terms of finding resources and tools?
100%, I think, because a lot of my followers have sent me resources and tools. Do you know what I mean? So it's really honestly been a blessing in disguise, because I think I always kind of felt like I wasn't really fully fitting in, and I always felt in my head, even when I was in my friendship circles, and I always like would retreat inside, and I don't think anyone would notice it, because I just don't think anyone would notice it. But like I always felt like I don't feel right. I don't feel like I'm being understood properly, or I feel like I have to overextend myself to be heard and understood, and like, do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So now I'm working on not doing that.
Did you ever find you would like over explain everything?
Oh yeah, all the time. I definitely always like try to resolve situations, and I try to like really understand it. But then I also realize that that's kind of deflecting from like feeling the emotions of what I'm going through, because I really struggle to regulate my emotions. I feel them very deeply, and sometimes I think like this isn't like I don't feel like this is a normal like sensation to feel this much. But I feel like it's too much, if that makes sense. So yeah, I always felt like I was over explaining, overexerting myself, always explaining why I done certain things and explaining why I behaved in certain type of ways. And I also didn't really understand it myself. I'd be like, I don't know why I've done this. I apologize. And it was constantly apologizing to people, you know what I mean? And it's draining. And I think especially if you're around people who don't understand ADHD and they don't really understand mental health, it can be quite detrimental to your own mental health.
Absolutely. And also, trying to explain yourself to people that think very differently is so difficult, because
Hmm.
if you, for example, were to explain to me, oh, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, that light is too bright, that's too noisy, I'd be like, oh, yeah, definitely. Totally understand. And other
Yeah.
people are like, I don't understand. What do you mean it's too bright? What do you mean it's too noisy? Because they can't even hear the electricity. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can hear that plug buzzing from the other
Buzzing.
side of the room.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, especially when you get like, especially when it's kind of perceived as like the negative side effects of ADHD. So like, yeah, executive dysfunction. When you're trying to explain to someone that you physically cannot do a very mundane task, like get out of bed and put a load of washing on. You genuinely want to, like you don't want to feel lazy or whatever, but that somebody explained it like this, and it was such a good explanation. So if you can imagine two magnets, like, and they're both kind of opposite ends, and that they're basically repelling each other, and that's what it feels to have executive dysfunction. You want to do the task, but you physically can't. But yeah, I think definitely explaining things like that to people, because I don't know, I feel like sometimes people don't really want to understand either, because they deal with it differently. Like they obviously kind of deal with life differently. So I definitely think having people who's in your circle, if you're a divergent person, to have other neurodivergent people. I feel like we kind of all attract each other anyways, you
We
know.
do, yeah.
Um yeah, it's hard to be around people who aren't neurotypical, who aren't neurodivergent, because you kind of need that chaos, you need that stimulation from each other.
And that's the only reason that I found out I was neurodivergent, because one of my friends who's ADHD, he was like, you realize that you're neurodivergent, right? And I said, am I? And he said, why do you think you're friends with all of the neurodivergent people in the gym? I was like, am I?
Yeah.
So it's like naturally we all gravitated towards each other, and it's like we just became this
Yeah.
circle of autistic ADHD friends. And I was like, well, you're all cooler people than everyone else. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like people have got their qualities and stuff like that, but I think, like, I don't know, again, like attracts like, doesn't it? So it depends, like, you know, you're obviously going to have things in common with people who have got neurotypical, neurodivergent tendencies, and you understand each other and things. So it is nice.
Do you know any neurotypical people?
I do know neurotypical people. A lot of my friends have got like, oh, with their neurotypical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, oh hang on, it's crashed.
I
Oh
can still
no.
hear you. It's all good.
All right, perfect. So I do have a couple of neurotypical people, but I mean, are they? I don't know because I don't think that they've ever actually got tested or anything. So they don't show signs of like any kind of neurodivergent tendencies that I can see that I know of. I know there's hundreds of things out there, but like I feel like I've definitely got a couple of people in my life that are neurotypical, but they're still like very very good friends, very, very understanding, very open-minded. And I think that when it comes to neurotypical people, I feel like that's the kind of mindset that they need to have when it comes to dealing with somebody who's a neurodivergent person, because if they don't have that social skill to be open-minded, to understand the complexities of somebody's mind when they're neurotypical in the way that it kind of flows and the way that it waves, then it could be quite difficult, I feel like. But yeah, I'm rambling on anyways. I got
No, it's
distracted there.
good.
I got distracted. I was like, the camera's not working over.
Too much going on at once. Yeah, because like personally, I don't know if I know anyone who is neurotypical because
Yeah.
everyone has a little, like they have their quirks, don't they? And I know ADHD is very specific sort of issues, and autism is very specific sort of issues. And you can have the
Yeah.
combination of both, where you have like a war inside of your head. One wants structure, one wants chaos. But
Oh,
I
that
just
sounds a
don't
bit
know.
like me.
Well, maybe
Oh,
worth
I'm gonna have to
looking
go get.
into.
I know I'm gonna have to go and get tested for autism now. Great.
Yeah, because there's for example, you want to have a routine in your life. So if you have ADHD, autism and ADHD, you really, really want to have this structure and you feel more comfortable with this structure. But there's another part of your brain that cannot get themselves to make the structure. And when you start following it, you get really uncomfortable. So it's like two
That's me.
sides at war.
That's me. Oh my God, I literally posted something on my TikTok the other week and I was saying it's like I'm having a battle inside of my mind. One part of my mind is very kind of like justice driven, like very kind of boss bad bitch energy, like, you know, really kind of knows exactly what's going on. The other side of it is opens up to the complexities and goes, no, I understand why this person's done that. I understand. Very compassionate. They say two battles. Because I'm like, what's the right one? What is the right side to go down?
Yeah, but then sometimes if it's in that context, it could be that you want to show compassion, but you also want to have boundaries. And there's a struggle like, where is the boundary? Because I had a problem with that for a long time. I had no boundaries. And a lot of people with ADHD don't have any boundaries because that's the people pleasing, that's the trauma response and the survival response. To get love, you get rid of your boundaries and you do everything for everyone else. But when you start to rebuild them, you're like, okay, so I need to put a fence somewhere in my brain, and the boundary just gets bigger and bigger. And then you're like, but where exactly does it go? You're like, this is not right. I shouldn't be treated like this. But I can see why they're doing that because I can understand everyone else's thought patterns and brains, and I have pattern recognition and blah, blah, blah. So you're like, I don't know where the fence goes.
It's frustrating, but I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a bit of a blessing as well. Do you know what I mean? To have that much access to to the brain. Do you know what I mean? To have that much access to like the social aspect of life as well. You know, it's definitely it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, it is. I do think there is peace and contentment in being able to be compassionate to everybody, though. Because if you're going to harbor resentment against someone and be like, how could they do this to me? You're going to have that, and it's only going to affect you. It's not going to affect them if you hate them. It's not going to affect them if you hold resentment towards them. But if you can go, they're going to act that way, but that's their problem.
Yeah. No, I get that. I do get that. But I also think that because there's certain like situations that I've experienced in my life where I think people do not deserve my forgiveness and they won't get it. But I sleep at night very, very happy. But in my brain, I'm like, they crossed the line and you can stay as far away over there as you possibly can. And I don't think you need to forgive people in order to move on and heal. But it depends on kind of like where it goes, because you can not forgive people. But then I guess when you see like harboring resentment, that's like a different thing. But I do think that you don't have to forgive anyone to move on forward with your life and be happy.
Yeah, for me, the word forgiveness is not necessarily letting them back into your life. It's just releasing those emotions attached to it. You can be like, I forgive you, but stay far, far away from me.
Yeah. See
Thank you.
right the way over there, yeah. See right the way
Yes.
over there.
I forgive you, but you're dead to me forever. You don't exist anymore. Sometimes it's easier that way.
I know. So this is the thing, I feel like, because obviously with people with ADHD, because we really struggle with emotional regulation and setting boundaries and things like that, because just the way that we are, I think sometimes people can cross a line. And I think for me personally, I don't get us wrong, that I recognize all of the things that I've done. Like, people are going to hurt people in life. Like, you cannot walk through life expecting to not hurt a single human being. Like, that's just not. If you've got boundaries, if you've got your own standards, you've got your own mind, you've got your own, you're not kind of trying to mold yourself in everyone around you, you are going to trigger other people, you are going to hurt other people. That's very normal. But I think for me, I've lost my thought, I've lost my train of thought.
I saw that happening.
I lost it. I really had a cling on it then, and it's gone. I lost it. Oh, that's the perks of ADHD. You lose your train of thought.
Something else must have interrupted it, and you were like, "I'll say that next," or "I'll say that later," or
Yeah,
it just went.
that's what's yeah. It just literally was gone. I don't even know what the conversation was now. Just oh. I tell you what's really good though, I do have a lot of friends who obviously, because now they understand, like, obviously my ADHD. Oh, sorry, well, I just hit the thing. Now that they understand the ADHD, they're able to help us and cue us. So like, say if I'm in the middle of something and I'm talking about something, even my followers, actually, even my followers, like, so I'll be in the middle of talking something and I'll go, oh, just lost my train of thought, what was I talking about? And people cue us back in and be like, you were talking about this, and then it'll trigger that memory or that thought again.
Yeah, I do that for people sometimes, but then I have to also be paying attention, and sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I zone out and I zone back in so quickly nobody notices, and then I can fill in the blanks with my brain, and then nobody knows. But one of my friends, he was like, "No, I can tell. You've got these big bear eyes just staring into space," and I notice. I'm like, "Oops."
I know the dissociation and the dissociation, and like the kind of when your mind just like flows away, and the masking as well, when you're masking, when you're literally having a conversation with someone and you're focused on, like, you're inside your body, you're not communicating, you're not understanding, and you're saying, am I like looking right, am I looking at their eyes, I'm not staring at them, like I'm not doing anything weird with my face, like am I standing properly, like what's going on? That is bizarre. That's a really bizarre feeling. Like, when I didn't realize that, I thought that was an anxiety thing, which I think it might potentially be an anxiety thing as well. But I know that it's a dissociation and a masking thing as well,
It
which I
is.
only found out when I got diagnosed with ADHD, and then I started like researching everything.
There's so many things that we do that we're not conscious of, because I had the same thing where I was like constantly aware of how much eye contact I was making. I was like, am I looking them in the eye? Is it for too long? Should I look away? Should I look back at them? But it happened so quickly that I thought that's just what everyone did.
Yeah,
I was like, do
literally.
people not do that?
Like, I don't know. I was like, is this not a thing?
And focusing so hard on not fidgeting as well. Like, even now, like when I have conversations with people, I have to fiddle with something. So it could be like my cuff, it could be any rings. I don't have any on, so I got nothing to fiddle with. But I'm focusing so hard on not like bouncing on the spot with my legs or like fidgeting too much. And it takes a lot of brain power, but you don't realize because you've done it your whole.
I know. And to be honest, I think even for that, for me, because I do a lot of stimming as well, but I think I don't focus that much on that. So for me, I don't really see that as like a huge thing. But I remember one time my grandma used to be, me granny, I don't even know why I said grandma, I never ever call her grandma. Me granny, I'm never calling that in my life. Me granny used to be like, I always used to tap my feet when I was eating, and I used to like bounce, like kind of like move and jiggle when I was eating. Obviously, I was like so full of dopamine. I was like, but yeah, to be honest, I feel like it's definitely something that I've noticed, but it's not something. There's other things that happens through ADHD that is needs more of my attention. I think
Mm-hmm.
the depressive episodes for me, I think, is what I struggle with the most. Like the hormones just all over. The fluctuating of the hormones is like really a struggle for me.
Yeah. Were you ever diagnosed with depression, or is it just like a monthly cycle?
So I was diagnosed with depression a few years ago, and I only really started to notice like the depressive episodes when I kind of got into TV and things like that. But it's so interesting because like I always ignore my intuition. I don't know what it is. I feel like as a woman, not necessarily like this whole ADHD, but I think as just a woman, we're taught to ignore what intuition. You know, you've got to be nice, you've got to be kind, you've got to be gentle, you don't be too loud, don't be this, don't be that. Like it's all everyone's always telling you what to be as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I really struggle to listen to my intuition. But on this occasion, I went to the doctors and I said, listen, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And straight away diagnosed with depression, gave us like the antibiotics, and I never took them because I was like, this is not like I just felt like it wasn't right. I felt like it wasn't, I just felt like it wasn't just depression. And obviously also they were saying, yeah, so you might feel a bit worse, like before you feel better. And I thought, feel worse? In this, like this is as low as I go. I'm not going any lower than this. So yeah, that was another reason why I never took them. But then here we are, 4 years later, getting diagnosed with ADHD.
Just to
So
clarify, you said antibiotics. Did you mean antidepressants? Okay, just checking, just check. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
curious medication for
No,
depression,
no,
but okay, yeah,
sorry, yeah, yeah, stuff, yeah.
that's fine. Um, yeah, to be honest, I was the same. I was prescribed antidepressants and also anti-anxiety medications, but I just don't like medications. So I took it for like
Mm,
a week or two and I said like, I just feel like a zombie. But now it kind of
yeah.
makes sense. If my brain is overactive and it was slowing it down to a normal level, it felt like I was wading through custard in my head. But actually, maybe that's what normal people feel like. I don't know.
Hopefully not. Surely
No, because that's
not.
horrible. Imagine going 100
Yeah,
miles per hour and then someone puts the handbrake on and you can't take it off. That's what it
I
felt
know.
like.
Well, I try and do like wellness, you know, like very like grounding techniques and stuff like that. And even that's a struggle when I'm trying to meditate and stuff. And I used to be very good at that like a couple of years ago. I could do it easy peasy, lemon squeezy, wasn't even a thought. But again, it was because I was hyper fixated on that subject of wellness and grounding and chakras so I was so into it. I'd sit there, meditate for an hour, no problem. Now I've got to have a guided meditation on, like I need somebody speaking to us because my brain will not shut off. But that hyperfixation's just kind of disintegrated.
It might come back. They normally cycle round,
Yeah.
don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's disintegrated. Like, obviously, I'm very much into me wellness, but I feel like it doesn't come as easily as what it did when I was really hyperfixating on it a couple of years ago. Like 2 years ago, when I first got into the subject, when I first started to understand it and the universe and crystals and grounding and yoga, when I really got into it, that's when I was at my peak. And then I think you do kind of just fall out of it a little bit, but it's always been a part of me life though. Like I've always done it. I've always done yoga and this, but it's just probably not as frequent as what I've done previously. Anyway, sorry, I feel like I can't shut up. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I'm just totally tell that I'm having like one of them days now. I'm like, yeah, just can't shut up.
It's good though because we get onto different topics that way. So I'm fine with it. But with the depression as well, I think because one of the key things about depression is apathy and not being able to get out of bed and not being able to function. But if you have executive dysfunction, it almost looks the same. And then
Yeah,
on top of that, if you're beating yourself up because you can't get out of bed and do stuff, that's going to cause depression because you're like, I hate myself. Why can't I do
yeah.
anything?
Like, why can I turn? Why am I an incapable human being? Why am I not doing like? Why am I not just living like a normal human? But there was actually something that I seen on, I mean, I've seen it on TikTok, so I don't know how reliable it is, but someone had posted that they were in uni and they were studying something, and it was to do with like ADHD brains not producing a certain amount of a chemical, which actually helps you to move your body. Can't remember exactly what it was right now, and to be honest, this was probably pointless because I haven't even got the information to tell you it. But basically, there was like it was something to do with like they done a study on like the brain and how executive dysfunction actually works. And it's basically because your brain cannot produce the right amount of chemicals to actually get you to do get you to A and B.
Might try and find that study and we'll flash it up here if I find it. I know that dopamine as well is a big motivational factor. So if you have the dopamine, it makes you motivated enough to move. And that for survival was what was supposed to get us like out of the cave to go and hunt things, was that dopamine to get us motivated to go and do stuff. So if we're lacking that, that's why we sit there. And also the inability to prioritize. If you've got loads of stuff to do, you're like, I don't know what to do first. And your brain's like, I don't know either. Because obviously
Yeah.
we are separate from our brain. But so you just kind of sit there like, well, I don't know what to do. And you're like, I want a cup of tea, but I also need to pee, but I also need to do the washing, but I also need to do some work. And you're like, I'm just going to sit here.
And it's hard. And you know what I feel like I noticed as well is like it's very hard to prioritize things, isn't it? So like instead of it being probably in some people's minds like a stepping stone, I need to do this task first, then I do that task first, then I do the other task, and like prioritizing things. Think I don't know if it's the same for you, but the way that I experience and things like that, like if I've got a to-do list, it's almost like all these bricks and they're a wall. It's not, there's the first brick that you need to step on, there's the first stepping stone. It's like all these stones have made this huge wall in front of us, and I don't know which is the most important task, because all of them to me seem important. Taking the bin out and paying a bill seems the same importance to me.
Yeah, because sometimes it is. Sometimes you're like, the deadline to take the bin out is now. But also, if I don't pay the bill now, I'll forget. So you're like, there's no way to decide between these two. And other people are like, that's so easy. You pay the bill first. Or that's so easy. You pay the bin first. But again, people are going to prioritize it differently. So you're like, I don't know. I give up.
Yeah, I know, literally. But it's very interesting when you really research it and you start to understand ADHD a bit more. I think if there's any listeners or viewers that's watching, I think if you do feel like you have ADHD or if you do have ADHD, like research it, because I think it's very easy for people to tell you who you are and the kind of person that you are. Like when people are projecting, and I think with people who have got ADHD, they do tend to experience, I mean, I don't know if it's just me, I'm saying from my perspective, like I can get myself into a low self-esteem kind of thing, and sometimes I can allow people's words to really penetrate my mind. So if you don't have a strong sense of self, finding out the things for ADHD and what the positives are, what the negatives are, so that you know yourself more than anyone in the world, I feel like that'll really help when it comes to like your self-esteem and kind of going forward and putting yourself out there in the world.
That's really good advice. I say that to my clients as well, because I'm a mental health coach. I say, if you think you might have it, just use it as a keyword. So Google that and then find things that resonate with you. Take that word as a new keyword. Google that. Like Google is just everything you need is on the internet. You can search anything. You just need a keyword. So if you go into ADHD and you go people pleasing, that resonates with me. Take people pleasing, Google that. Break it down into more things. You can find out your attachment styles. You can find out your love languages. They all kind of resonate with the people pleasing. So you just drill down and eventually you'll be like, I know myself. I understand myself. I know what I need. And then you can start improving your communication to other people because you have better language to communicate it.
Yeah. And you also, I feel like you kind of get, it's very healing. I think like, I mean, I don't know if, obviously there'll be a lot of people that feel like this, but I do think that like the more that you know about yourself and the more that you really have like this self-discovery mindset and this self-development mindset, and you want to be better and you want to go to therapy and you do all these things to make sure that you're showing up the best that you can so that you can experience the best life possible. It's really healing when you learn these things, because I've learned so much by going to therapy and even like researching things online about my attachment styles, about like childhood traumas and trauma responses, trauma bonds, all these different things. Is just it's good because you get to recognize it, and then you can you have a better ability to make different decisions for yourself and break that pattern.
And ADHD people do often experience trauma bonds as well, because if anyone doesn't know what it is, it's basically you become chemically addicted to somebody else. because you've
Mhm.
got that hot and cold from someone. So as soon as they're on hot, you're like, this is really great. And you're getting all that dopamine and you're having a really good time. And then they withdraw
Mhm.
suddenly, they go cold and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? And you go into a really low state. Then they come back on hot again and you're like, oh, this is great. And you get all the dopamine again and then they withdraw again. And that's how you get
Yeah.
chemically addicted to someone. It's how you get
Yeah.
chemically addicted to any substance. But trauma bonding is basically the addiction to a person because of their behavior, the hot and cold, the
Mhm. Mhm.
inconsistencies.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
I
it
know.
does happen a lot.
It's weird as well because I feel like a lot of my relationships have had like that kind of underlying pattern with it. Uh, and obviously I know that there's loads of reasons, and again everything's so complex and people experience things differently. But I think once you really recognize the pattern, that's when you can make better decisions for yourself and you can be like, this is not working for me. If you're not 100%, you're gone. If you're not 100% on me and like, you know exactly what you want, then it's not. Because normally in the past it would be like, no, me trying to convince these people of my worth. And it's like, I don't have to convince anyone of my worth now. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I bring to the table. And I don't need anyone to say, oh my gosh, she's amazing. Because I know I'm amazing. I've been through so much in my life. I know exactly who I am, which is, it's took a while. It's took a while to get here. Eventually now at 30, I know who I am.
It's about the same time for me as well, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, I feel like the 20s are what the trenches. Like, I genuinely feel like the 20s for us were the trenches. Like, and then I think they do say that the 30s are like your 20s, but better because you're more, you're smarter, you're wiser, you're richer.
Yeah, because a lot of people saying the 20s are the best time of your life. I was like, it was the worst time of my life.
I mean, honestly, I don't get us wrong. I've had really great times. I've had so many experiences in my life when I was in my 20s, but it was trenches. I do not want to go back there. I am
hmm
getting older is so hot. I cannot wait to get older. I'm excited about it. Everyone cannot wait to be back 20 again. Like, oh, I wish I was 20. Not for me, love.
Not for me either. Much prefer being over
No.
30.
Yeah, exactly. You look great as well. You don't look like you're over 30 at all.
Well, thanks. Neither do you.
Two little cute women, two little cute girls.
Yeah. You mentioned before about therapy as well. Do you think that was like one of the most helpful things, or what do you think was the best tool for you so far to help?
I think it was a combination of everything. So the reason why I went to therapy was for a lot of trauma that I've experienced in my life. And I think whilst doing like going to therapy and researching ADHD and having all these ADHD appointments and talks and this and that, and just kind of gathering all this information, I think it's been a combination of all of that that's helped us. I think the longer I've researched it, the more I've started to really look back into my past and the situations that's happened, I think that's helped it. But again, I think like ADHD, like I feel like the ADHD thing, it's not like a linear experience, like a dip in and out of a mindset. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like I have this mindset of I know exactly who I am, I know exactly what I want, I know exactly this. I don't have that all the time. Like I say, it goes up and down like throughout the month. But I think knowing that it goes up and down throughout the month is what's brought us a lot of kind of comfort as well, because I know that it's only for a short period of time where I'll be experiencing the bad feelings.
It is how you grow as well, though, as a person, because if you were just consistently content all the time, that means that you've discovered everything about yourself. There's nothing new to discover, and that's it. No more learning. But I don't think that would
Yeah.
ever happen. So when you go into those lower moments and you start to self analyze a bit more, you might discover more things. You have new keywords. You can look into that more. And so that is how you grow as a person. You never grow in your
Hmm.
comfort zone anyway. So if you have this little bit of discomfort every month, you can be like, well, I've learned something new about myself in this low week. And then I
Hmm.
can take that with me next time.
Yeah, 100%. I know. It's just like I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's for me. It's when I forget about the low moments. It's when I get up to that week and I'm like, oh, I feel really like bad. I feel really terrible, and I'm thinking, why do I feel so bad? I can't deal with this. But then I'm like, and then I look at my phone, get my phone out, and I'm like, Yeah, well, literally a week into the like, well, a week due to the period. That's why I feel terrible. So it kind of is good that you have these like little cues that you get to kind of bring you back down to it's fine. It's fine to feel bad. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's all fine. Next week I'll be flying.
Yeah, I recommend for anyone to track their period. I don't, and I have these wobbles, and I'm like, why am I wobbling so hard? And then I, like you, I can't then look it up because I don't track it because I'm silly. But it
Yeah.
would be a really good idea for anyone to track them because it does make a big difference. Even in the gym, like I go and weight train, and when you have the week before your period, you're weak. You're so weak, and you're like, why can't I lift that? I did it fine last week, but the week before you were ovulating and you were strong as hell. Yeah,
Yeah.
it affects everything.
I know, I know. But like I say, there's so many tools and stuff out there now that can really, really help. Like if you think about this, like say 50 years ago, like we didn't have access to the things that we've got access to now. And I just feel like it would definitely help if you want to track your menstrual cycle, just so that you have that like understanding of like, oh, I'm having a shit week this week. Oh my God, can I swear on here? Sorry, I've just swore.
If not, we'll bleep it out.
I was sorry. I've got a potty mouth, sorry.
It's
Yeah, so
fine.
like I'm having a bad week, and then like if you can have something to refer back to. People have bad weeks anyways if it's not just like circulating around your period. Like you could have things going on in your life. But I think if there's not loads that's like triggering you that should make you feel so bad, if tracking your period, it would be it's really helped me, put it that way. It's really, really helped us just get a more understanding of it so that I don't feel as bad and I don't spiral into a deep depression with it. Because once that week's done and I can start feeling myself come back together, I'm like, oh, it was just that. It wasn't me as a human being, and I'm not a depressed person.
I think that's a big thing that people struggle with as well is the shame, I think, is the best word to describe it. The shame of not being able to get up and do stuff, the shame of not feeling right, or why am I not feeling right? Why do I feel so much? Why can't I do anything? And you just give yourself loads of shame, and then you just struggle and think, I'm a terrible person. But you're not.
Yeah.
You just struggle
Yeah.
sometimes, and it doesn't define who you are.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think obviously like the way that kind of society is set up, it's very much on like how productive you are, how successful you are, that kind of like I feel like people internalize that and that kind of have that as their it's happened again, sorry. They have that as that like I've lost my train of thought again, sorry. Wait, I will get it back. Hang on, because that was a really important thing that I was going to say. Hang on.
Like not defining yourself by how productive you are.
Yes, basically, because I think society really kind of pushes that onto people of like how productive you are, how much money you've got, how many houses have you got, how many cars, this, and it's all kind of, especially on social media as well. Like social media is just the best bits of everyone's life, isn't it? But then, like, I think sometimes you can really compare your life, like, well, why am I not doing that? Why am I not doing this? Like, oh, because I've got bad mental health. Like, what's wrong with this? Why is there something wrong? But I definitely think society, the way that it kind of is set up for people, but you should always just not have your worth defined on how productive you are because it's actually got nothing to do with that. Yes, it's an element of it if that's something that you want to drive towards, but there's so many more interesting things about you than how successful you are and how much money you've made.
That's true. And also rest is important. We forget and we
It's
burn
so
out.
yeah, it's necessary. It's not even like a reward. It is genuinely necessary for your mental health. So it's like sleep, eating, it's the same as drinking water, like you need to rest.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the pot talking to the kettle saying that you should need to rest, but it is really important. And to avoid burnout means that you'll be more productive for longer as well. So if anyone's like, I need to be productive all the time, well, make sure you get enough rest. Otherwise, you'll have a crash week. Then you won't do
Mhm.
anything. So
Mhm.
it's all about consistency, little and often. Same with food, same with work, same with everything.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So, before we go, just have another question for you. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
It would be start listening to your intuition because she's trying to tell you something and the only thing she's doing is protecting you. So as much as you want to prove your intuition wrong, your intuition's never wrong. And as much as people might think that you being a certain type of way and behaving a certain type of way because if your intuition might be over the top or dramatic, doesn't matter. Be over the top and be dramatic because your intuition's trying to protect you from something.
Mm-hmm. And if anyone doesn't know how to hear their intuition, here's a tip that I was taught. Your intuition is a quiet voice, and your fear and anxiety is a loud voice. So if you have a
Mhm.
little quiet voice inside of you that's going, something's not quite right here, listen to that
Yeah.
one. Don't listen to the one that's shouting over the top of it going, it's fine, everything's fine. Or I don't want to believe that. Like the loud one, don't listen.
Literally. Don't listen to the loud one because the loud one is wanting to try and like prove something that's more of an ego rather than an intuition.
Yeah, definitely. That's good advice for anybody at any age. But yeah, for me, I also didn't listen to my intuition because it was almost traumatized out of me to listen to my intuition. And I feel like a lot of people will
Mhm.
resonate with that. So if you can develop that as like a muscle, listening to your intuition, then that will save
Mhm.
you from a lot of drama, pain, further trauma, because that
Yeah.
intuition knows. And as ADHD people, we have a strong intuition and we
Yeah.
can read people quite well. So you just got to learn to
Mhm.
trust yourself.
100%. And I think, like, for me personally, like, I only really, really noticed that over the past few years where I was like, I can pick up on, I can sense things quicker than it actually happening. Like, I can sense weird behavior. I can sense, like, but again, you want to ignore your intuition because you want to think that people aren't like that. But unfortunately, some people are like that. So just listen to your intuition, little girls. Listen to your intuition.
It is good. It's good advice. Well, thank you very much for speaking today. It's been really insightful, really interesting, and I'm glad you found a job that suits you and can
Thank
show
you.
other people that you're able to be successful if you play to your strengths as well, because that's important to know.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us on. I've really loved talking to you.
Thank you. You too.